Hello everyone, I'm Cameron Rebigsol, and I try to present this topic
Closer, please.
about cyclones, why it spins. And I know the topic is quite far away from the main theme that this conference wants. However, I try to present this to illustrate another problem, that is the pattern we accept theory. Okay. So let me go into this first. The reason for a cyclone spin called Coriolis is usually it is the reason that I found in many books and internet. And at the beginning, I just say, okay, that's what the authoritative people say. I accept it. However, at one time, I found an article, almost the beginning sentence is, thanks to Coriolis force, that's why we have spinning cyclone. And then I push a little further ahead, why that Coriolis is so critical to cause the spinning. And then on the picture here, the cyclone obviously has converged movement of material toward the eyes. However, in some typical explanation found in Wikipedia, Coriolis is some diverging force. How can diverging force cause converging material movement? And it really caught my interest. So when we look at the two pictures, and the pictures are the image of an instantaneous image. Whenever you click your camera, you find these two pictures. But this, the yellow line, is not an instantaneous image. It's historical image. This ball coming all the way to the edge. But if you click it in every instant, you can only find the ball at a certain position. You cannot tell the tennis how it moves. Okay, now we go to the cyclone first. Okay, to start the cyclone, usually we should have some cloud, a big cloud dish. And between the clouds, there's neutral gravitational force. Bring those clouds in. However, whenever there's something suspended in the air, the spinning of the Earth has a tendency to throw the matter out of the surface of the Earth. That is equivalent to the F1 force here. That is a centrifugal force. This force is the biggest on the equator plane. At the same time, this F1 can resolve another component force, F2. F2 is a force always push anything suspended in the air toward the equator. This force is the biggest at the latitude of 45 degrees. Now, when we have a bird's eye view on a cloud disk, and on the north hemisphere, and there's near the equator, that's near the pole. Because of the spinning of the Earth, the linear velocity of the south tip or south edge is bigger than the speed of the north edge. And if you stay at the center of this cloud, you have 0 degree with respect to this cloud. However, you will see the north tip going this way and the south tip going this way. The V1 on the south tip is bigger than the V3 on the north tip. On the other hand, F2, the force pushing everything to the equator, are statistically equal on both sides. Here's the problem. With respect to these two forces, the momentum here is addition to each other. Same here. They add to each other. But on the other hand, the V3 and this F2 force are almost in opposite direction, so they weaken each other. Same here. The momentum of this speed and the force F2 also weaken each other. And this effect is true to every material loop around center about the mass center of this cloud. And no matter the loop is that big, or that big, or that big. Same. So in that case, the resulting momentum on the west will be bigger than the resulting momentum on the east, because of the asymmetrical value, the magnitude between the torque. This cloud now has a motivating force to push it rotating or spinning. On the south hemisphere, because the bigger linear speed is bigger on the next to the equator, smaller on the south. So if the class this has to rotate because of the unequal torque between the west and the east, this will easily make it spinning of clockwise spinning. If we look at the cloud disk on the side view, this is the Earth's surface, this is the cloud. And actually, it should be more realistic that this cloud is slanted this way. And I put it in almost near horizontal because usually we feel more comfortable to see things on a horizontal position. But anyway, when this cloud is suspended in the air, the Earth's spinning will throw this tip of the edge of this cloud out. But on the other hand, the F2 force will push the center of mass of the cloud to duck under the south edge. Of course, I say this is an intention, not really. It will duck into it. Before it duck into it, some other action on it will begin to play already. At the same time, the north tip of this cloud disk also try to move over on top of the mass center. I will call the total effect of the combination a warning effect. Because of warning effect, the mass center of this cloud has a tendency to sink toward the Earth. Okay, when this cloud is put in rotation or put into spin because of the in asymmetrical torque, and when it begins to move, the speed of the outer edge of the cloud disk is higher, causing the pressure, the atmospheric pressure here is lower than the atmospheric pressure here. But pressure equivalence will then make the air here, the spread on both sides, or spread to the outer edge of the entire cloud disk. When this pressure is lower, this center region will be sucked down. But when this is begin to suck down, more cloud will be pushed by the warning effect, pushed toward the center. But when this cloud pushes to the center, their rotating linear speed begin to increase. When the speed increases, it further causes the atmospheric pressure to drop down here. This force interaction that keep reinforcing itself, and gradually this is sinking the central region, this cloud, sinking deeper and deeper. And if this sink to a certain scale and it stops for some other reason, we call it thundercloud. But if this sinking can all the way touch the ground, we'll call it a tornado. However, if the disk is big enough, we have enough cloud to go to the center and bring enough momentum to the center and bring increase enough speed, circular speed. Finally, so much mass is sucked down from the center and dispersed below, and then an eye begins. The eye is really a low pressure area. Because of the sucking action, more cloud are coming towards the center. But when they move to the center, they have enough momentum to increase the spinning action even stronger over here. So between the eye and this outer edge, we eventually have a wall around the eye. In this wall, two forces are fighting, competing fiercely. One is the sucking power force, another one is the centrifugal force of the circular movement. Now, what I'm trying to say is here, because the strong sucking action, this cloud disk begin to shrink, because no matter what, it has only limited quantity of cloud, no matter how big it's stopped. When it shrinks to a certain size, and it cannot bring enough momentum to the central region, and then the spinning speed here get to reduce a little gradually, and the sucking power here is weakened. When the sucking power is weakened, and those clouds at the outer edge will not be pulled by the sucking power that much. However, they still keep high centrifugal force. The centrifugal force to pull them apart. Now, the Coriolis force steps in and stop this cloud from further spinning, and when this cloud are torn away by the Coriolis to part away from the eye, this stops spinning and the sky comes down again. Now I would like to further analyze the Coriolis force. In this picture, this ball is not touching this turntable. And in some way, I try to reproduce these few pictures. However, in this picture, the ball is coming in contact with the turntable. In this picture, it's not coming in contact with the turntable. However, the velocity of this ball's movement is projected on both a turntable and this initial frame. When we look at this velocity, and this velocity is result without the influence of the turntable. It is only a record how this line is projected or printed on the turntable. And on this is the true duplication of this line on the initial frame. We have another, now we put this ball come in contact with the turntable. That's this picture. Okay, the one is a direction of the original ball. Now the ball is coming in contact with the turntable. Its movement is truly influenced by the turntable. But in this picture, it is not. So if we call this a Coriolis effect, I think this is only a pseudo effect. It has nothing to do with the Coriolis force. Force means something to produce acceleration. But this ball and its velocity has no acceleration. But now, this ball's movement, until it gets out, it is influenced by the rotation of the turntable. So this projection is the true projection or true record of this ball, and expressing the influence by the turntable. In the picture, we just single out the turntable without the initial frame down below. And this, we are talking about the cloud. And actually, the cloud and the turntable itself is the same object. Okay? So when this cloud or the turntable is turning, each cloud piece is influenced by the spinning of the turntable or the cloud itself. Okay? And when you turn, the Coriolis force keep influence the movement of the cloud, but until this Coriolis force can overcome the gravitational force between the cloud pieces and overcome the sucking power, the Coriolis cannot do anything. Until this cloud piece, the cloud is small enough, right? And then the Coriolis force can step in to really terminate the spinning of this, the spinning of this cloud disk. So the Coriolis force is actually the centrifugal force. When it is compelled to move, the moving object is constantly increase its speed from a fixed point, and also that moving object keep changing its radius with respect to the tuning table. And at the beginning, when I learned from the Coriolis, I didn't really pay attention to it because I get used to a thought. Well, it is said in a book, it is said in the Wikipedia, it must be correct. And until one day, as I said before, I say that article said thanks to Coriolis force. And then I found that Coriolis force is not that proper in explaining why the cyclone turns. Okay, here's my presentation in. Any questions?
I have a question. Have you looked at the universal cycle theory that was written by Steve Putz and Glenn Borchert?
No.
They're all over cycles, but what do you call them? That's Coriolis Effect, but things spinning. They use that a lot. Vortex, thank you. So you may want to take a look at theirs too, because they actually also talk about what happens when you do that to masses inside the vortex, that there's accumulation and that there's something. So when I saw this, I think they'd be very interested in actually seeing your paper and seeing maybe how that part of it affects. So if you take a look at that, then they talk about how that actually it's very prominent in their theory. So galaxies, those things. In fact, if you read in that book, you'd find out that what people hear is that Glenn Borchert says that at least in his latest generation of ether, which he keeps updating, that the ether particles may in fact be vortexes or swirling masses. So I think that'd be interesting to take a look.
Thank you. And on the other hand, when you mentioned the galaxy, spinning. I believe the galaxy spinning, the reason is completely different.
Sure.
Different reason. Yeah.
Sure.
The galaxy spinning very related to how this universe is created. And to me, the universe is not created. It exists there all the way, unless there are two versions anyway regarding the creation of the universe. One is theistic creation, another one is atheistic creation. And atheistic creation normally is advocated by atheists with the model of Big Bang. Yeah, but to me, I'm kind of atheistic. However, I cannot accept Big Bang. Yeah, I just believe that the universe is there, eternal and infinite, all the time. And the reason I try to put up this is I want to illustrate how I change my view from Coriolis force influence to how the Coriolis force can actually terminate the spinning of a cyclone. And I think the human being has one tendency: try to accept whoever is authoritative, child advocate, or celebrity advocate. And then at the beginning, very easily, and they will accept, oh, that may be true. However, if they think a little bit further, they may find that whatever the other people say actually is a false theory. And this covers from natural science to social science, all the way. That's the same. Okay? And so, for example, regarding the straight line, we have been accepting definition like this for a long time. That distance, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. I would like to say that it's true, a straight line has the shortest distance between 2 points, but it's not necessary that the shortest distance between 2 points can be the definition of a straight line. And the reason is distance is a straight line itself. If we say the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, it means that the distance between 2 points is a distance. I think that's a childish argument, and it cannot be so seriously defined. And to my point of view is that a straight line between 2 points should be defined like this. You draw any line between the 2 points, and then on the same plane, you duplicate the same line and flip it. Okay? Suppose this is A, B. Now you flip it, that's B, A. And then put these put this original line and the duplicate line together. A connected to B, B connected to A. If the original segment and the duplicate segment put together, you find no room between them, and then the AB, the original curve, is a straight line. If you found space between the original segment and the duplicate segment, this is not a straight line. And that's how I think straight line should be defined. And Another example is that the photoelectric phenomenon. All along, we get used to the concept of photon. And when photon hit the electron goes against the movement of the photon. I think that this has a big problem, violated even most common sense in physics. But that has been what authoritative people told us, and that has been how a lot of us accept without question. But how can we accept this? That I remember Duncan said that this morning, if somebody hit your head from this way. That's very true. But now it seems in the photoelectric effect, it seems that if somebody bump your head go this way, hitting the back. I don't think that's the right thing to accept to explain phenomena. And there's indeed there's some similar thing. Photon itself, I cannot accept that because photon as a quantum, it is a packet of energy. Packet, when it's not moving, it means that there's a separation between them, between the one and the next one. There's time separation. If it is moving, it must be distance separation between the two packets. When a beam is formed by packet that is separated distance, it means that the frequency that the light beam represents is interfered by a second wave. In that case, you must have interference. With that interference, no pure light can be detected in our life because the interference must make that light beam a pulsating light beam. It's not a pure light anymore. And another thing, covering this social science, and it has been to a lot of people's concept that socialism is good. And I try to stay on the science point of view, not going into politics. The problem is, the essence of socialism is abolish capitalism. By capitalism, the essence is free trade. If socialism is going to abolish the free trade, what other kind of trade do we have? Forced trade. You don't have gray area in between. But forced trade only means robbery, plundering. So but at the beginning, when I come in contact with that concept, Karl Marx is a big name. What he say, it must be true.
Cameron, we're gonna get you off that subject because we want to keep our politics out of these videos right now.
On the sides.
No problem. Yeah, but and I think other thing is you're saying that you did this exercise because, if I understand it, it's because we look at often you can take a topic which is my father did something like, is the moon spinning? When you look up and when you think about it, no, that's a dumb question. But many times when you look at things, people are teaching about the Coriolis Effect, and you just accept it, but you never go through in your mind how it would actually work. And then the truth is, even with myself, I accepted that without really investigating myself and saying, is that really true? Like when you say that in the toilets that the water goes this way on one side of the earth and the other, But, so that was your main purpose, right? Is to critically look at, saying, I'm a critical thinker, people tell me this all the time, but I'm going to investigate it myself? Is that
There's something like that, yeah. Like dark matter is also that the same. Right now, dark matter is still very popular belief in the science field. But to me, it seems that if you mishandle Newton's gravitational law, you can create a lot of dark matter too. And on the other hand, the same thing is on we human beings are the descendant of some upward ape. But I would like to ask, who put those ancestors of upward ape on the treetop? To begin the human's life. So I think we can review a lot of theory from social science to natural science and get a new conclusion. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? No. Okay, thank you.